Minglaba and welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Agajo. Today we have reports on COVID-19 cases in Myanmar reaching 150 with 1 new death and 11 recoveries. And another report is the phone interview on what is behind China's low COVID-19 death rate, and also news coverage on Korean Association in Myanmar donating medical masks to Operation Rescue Taskforce by Y.R.O. And also, the last report is safe living style attracting attention of buyers in urban real estate market in Myanmar. All of that on this edition of Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. The meeting of ASEAN tourism ministers on COVID-19 was held via a video conference Wednesday morning. Cambodia assumed the chairmanship of the meeting, and it focused on announcing a joint statement for cooperation between ASEAN tourism ministries to develop tourism in the ASEAN region and issue a survey on mitigating negative consequences of COVID-19 on the hotel and tourism sector and rehabilitation processes. Discussions were made on consequences of the COVID-19 on the ASEAN tourism sector, a policy on reducing negative consequences, strategies and action plans for rehabilitation. Union Minister for Hotels and Tourism, U.O.Ma, discussed that ASEAN Emergency Communication Special Meeting should be held via video conferencing, compiling ASEAN member nations' travel recommendations on ASEAN website to elevate domestic tourism sector to redevelop the travel sector, working together after COVID-19 and facilitating closer relations between tourism leaders of all member nations. China donated ventilators to aid the containment and treatment of COVID-19 in a ceremony in Mose, Shan State on Tuesday. The donation was organized by the Embassy of China in Myanmar for a second time, and the 15 ventilators were handed over to Myanmar in Mose, Shan State via China-Myanmar border checkpoint. China donated YH83011 ventilators to Myanmar government and the Tamil for use in containing and treating COVID-19. Chinese embassy has donated 30 ventilators to Myanmar for the first donation at the Yangon International Airport on 22nd April. The labor attaché said most of them are returning on their own volition, with 8,013 returning on their own choice, and 1,444 returning due to the factories shutting down, 1,164 discharged from employment, 504 returning because they did not receive payment, 1,756 whose visas expired, 472 returning without documents, 202 who are illegal migrant workers, and 2,688 due to other reasons. He said 53% of them have no plans to return to Thailand, and 7,626 wish to return to work in Thailand. Myawaddy District has 10 quarantine centers prepared for the returning Myanmar migrant workers and will have to comply with the Ministry of Health and Sports community-based facility quarantine for 21 days and a home quarantine for 7 days, which makes a total of 28 days. That's all with the local news. Now we'll move on to our first report. The total number of COVID-19 confirmed cases in Myanmar reached to 150 on April 29th, and 1 new death was reported. Till now, there have been 6 deceased patients and 27 recovered within the country. Dora Suisin has got the story of update situation.
According to the announcement issued by the Ministry of Health and Sports on 29 April, the total confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Myanmar reached 150. There are also 11 new recovered cases announced. The first confirmed patient, K01, who was treated at Tidim General Hospital, is to be discharged from the hospital on 30 April. At noon on 29 April, the ministry announced 1 new death of case 110, who is 63-year-old male, being treated in South Oklahoma Maternity and Child Hospital starting from 22nd April. He is possessed of hypertension and diabetes. The causes of death are reported to be respiratory tract damage due to severe community-acquired pneumonia, bacterial infection to respiratory tract, and sudden kidney damage. The government has extended precautionary measures against COVID-19 to 15 May, including the closures of cinemas and schools and the ban on mass gatherings. The food shops are still providing takeaway services. The factories and workshops are inspected before reoperation, and some companies are practicing work-from-home system. Since 10 townships of Yangon are placed on semi-lockdown, the public can go outside only if necessary. An order has been issued not to go outside from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. in the whole town.
I'm running a private machinery business. My business continues to run since I have few orders. So I have to come to the downtown to buy necessary items. Whenever I go outside, I make sure personal safety. If I go outside, I wash hands every time I see the basins in the road, and I wear mask since I leave home. For the instructions given by the government, it is great that the government assumes this pandemic as a national issue and it is providing necessary instructions. But I witnessed some weaknesses in the ground level management. So I want to suggest responsible administrators to check ground situations more.
In the semi-lockdown townships, the streets are guarded by the volunteers from the street in order to make sure the safety of the households.
We are in charge of the security of our street and the residents' safety. 2 people guard at a corner for about 3 or 4 hours. The group of volunteers from the street guards at the corners of the street with duty shift. We don't let any strangers come into the street. If food or other goods are delivered, the customers have to go to the corners of the street to receive the goods. The residents living in the street are allowed for buying essentials. We are just following the instructions of the government. If the government relieves the restriction, we will take another action for the safety of the residents in line with the relief. Till now, the restrictions will go on until the beginning of May. If people coming or going out of the street do not wear masks, we urge them to follow the health guidelines.
Out of the infected patients, the youngest is 1.5 years old, and some of the patients are found out to be the teenagers. The youngest fatality is 47 years old, and the eldest fatality is 85 years old. 106 patients out of 150 are from Yangon region. The total confirmed cases of COVID-19 around the world have already passed 3 million, with the highest number in the United States, which passes 1 million total confirmed cases. In Myanmar, out of 150 patients, 6 were deceased, 27 patients have recovered, and 16 have already been discharged from the hospital. This is Laura Susan from MI Radio.
Thus, the report on COVID-19 cases in Myanmar reaching 150 with 1 new death and 11 recoveries. So now let's move on to our phone interview with Mr. Jintao, senior journalist from China Media Group. So Mr. Jintao, WHO and the world have been praising China for containing efficiently with the COVID-19 outbreak. So we noted that China's measures are strict and exemplary. So it is very important to understand how China dealt with it. One of the astonishing and critical factor is China's death rate from COVID-19 outbreak. So what is behind China's low COVID-19 death rate?
Well, that's a great question. Many people have been asking such a question, why the death toll is so low in China and even in Wuhan, the city, the outbreak center. Well, there are several reasons. For example, when there was outbreak, when there's emergency situation, the Chinese government mobilized and organized more than 40,000 medical staff. Medical professionals, doctors, nurses from the rest of the country to offer help to Wuhan. For example, they usually are the best in their own hospitals. They brought along with them all those PPEs, goggles, masks, etc. So they can help the local medical staff in Wuhan to deal with the increasing number of COVID-19 patients. I would say secondly, it's really about the, again, national efforts to build the two hospitals, for example, in a little more than 10 days. That two hospitals provided more than 2,000 beds for the local city. At the same time, there are a lot of Fangcang hospitals, meaning makeshift hospitals, were also constructed during the same time. And the purpose of those makeshift hospitals is to house those with mild symptoms, so they can be separated from those with serious symptoms or those who are in ICUs. Under such a situation, the medical staff will be relieved, so they can focus their energy, time and efforts to focus on those who are desperately in need of medical attention, those who were in ICUs. In that sense, of course, as long as there's good care, and then you have a low death toll, a low fatality. Well, thirdly, equally important is the contribution of nations around the world. Many of them have offered their assistance. They offered some of the medical equipment, and also sometimes the moral support, sometimes the support in their own means. That's also included Myanmar. So of course, Chinese people are deeply grateful to those assistance. At the same time, you also received a lot of donation and contribution of those PPEs from overseas Chinese people who shopped in the local cities and then sent it back to China. This is also very important. The reason is that if you compare the situation in Wuhan to, for example, cities who were under siege of the disease, often in the situation, the local hospitals and the healthcare system were overwhelmed by the sudden increase of the number of patients. And at that situation, often there's a shortage of PPEs, there's a lack of hands of medical staff. In that situation, I would say yes, the fatalities are often high. So I would say after the initial chaotic situation response to the emergency situation in Wuhan, gradually you have enough medical staff, you have enough PPEs, you have good care, and a lot of attention were put on the patients, in particular patients with serious symptoms and patients in ICU. So in that situation, I would say yes, there's a good reason why the death toll is very low in Wuhan.
So that's the phone interview with Mr. Jintao, senior journalist from China Media Group. Stay with us as we bring you more reports on Myanmar Today. Korean Association in Myanmar donated 30,000 disposable medical masks to the Operation COVID-19 Rescue Task Force by Y.R.O. The donation ceremony took place on 29th April at No. 1 Basic Education High School, Damway, where is the camp of the Rescue Task Force in Yangon, it says. Pildiri has details.
Korean Association in Myanmar donated 30,000 disposable medical masks to the Operation COVID-19 Rescue Task Force by Y.R.O. The donation ceremony took place on 29 April at No. 1 Basic Education High School, Damway, where is the camp of the Rescue Task Force in Yangon. The ceremony was attended by the president of Yangon Rescue Organization, U, Councillor Mr. Jong Sang-jin, Chairman of Korean Association in Myanmar, Mr. Chon Sang-ho, and the official members of Korean Association in Myanmar. Mr. Chon Sang-ho, Chairman of Korean Association in Myanmar, said,
코비드19 바이러스에 대해서 어려움을 겪고 있는 미얀마 국민이나 대한민국 국민이나 모두에게 무엇을 도움을 줄까 하는 마음에서 이 자리에 말씀을 드리고자 합니다.
It is the same that both Myanmar and South Korea are suffering from the effect of COVID-19 infection. And so we have made this donation with the intention that we can help something The officials from Korean Association in Myanmar consulted and collected the donations from Koreans in Myanmar. Then we decided to donate half of all donations to Myanmar and the rest half to South Korea. So we donated 30,000 disposable medical masks to Myanmar and also to our country. Many Koreans in Myanmar and Korea Government Association, Myanmar Senior Club, and Korea Embassy in Myanmar have mainly donated and organized for the donations. So since I've been serving as the chairman of the Korean Association in Myanmar, we have collaborated with Y.R.O to donate the flood-affected area. This time is the third time donation to Y.R.O, and I would like to pray for whether a Myanmar citizen or Korean citizen living in Myanmar to ensure this difficult time.
U Chun, president of Y.R.O Rescues Organization, said,
ကျွန်တော်တောင်ကိုရီးယားပေါ့နော်တောင်ကိုရီးယားနိုင်ငံရဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာလာပြီးတော့မှလုပ်ငန်းလုပ်ကိုင်နေတဲ့လုပ်ငန်းရှင်များအသင်းကနေပြီးတော့မှပထမဆုံးအကြိမ်အဖြစ်ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီ mask အခုရေ 3000 လူတန်းတာပါခင်ဗျာ
For COVID-19, the Korean Association in Myanmar is hosting this donation to Y.R.O for the first time. There is also a message that PPEs are going to be donated also. Operation COVID-19 Rescue Taskforce by Y.R.O is performing the three main tasks for the current situation. They are the educating the public, pesticide spraying and transportation for the suspected cases, people under investigation cases, and laboratory confirmed cases. There are total 72 members in the task force with 24 ambulances for the 4 districts in all Yangon region coverage. We have performed these tasks since 15 March. Then curfew is issued, and so Y.R.O has prepared for 5 regular ambulances and 30 volunteers are available for regular emergency cases. So the total members are over 100 members. We have been trained and instructed by the Yangon Region Health Department. All the members can go home even if we defeat COVID-19. The Patrol Association also donated 2,700 gallons a month to Y.R.O. Now we started transporting the positive patients to Paungji COVID-19 Medical Center. It has been 18 patients delivered. As it is long-distance transportation, we need to prepare for any vehicle maintenance and damage. The volunteers also have families and their own jobs, but at this time they can do nothing right now. They have not been able to provide their families yet. I would like to encourage donors to donate basic foodstuffs for families of volunteers.
I am Pyote Rido. This is news reporting from MI Radio.
That's the report on Korean Association in Myanmar donating medical masks to Operation Rescue Task Force by Y.R.O. With a rapid progress in urbanization and a growing number of people living in the country, high-rises have come into widespread use and lifestyles have also become up-to-date. With an increased number of high-rises, quality meant for security of dwellers plays an important role. To ensure a good and safe living style to provide the dwellers, the Committee for Quality Control of High-Rise Building Construction Projects is working to define guidelines regarding the design of the high-rise buildings and quality control. Swayman reports.
With a rapid progress in urbanization and a growing number of people in the country, high-rises have come into widespread use and lifestyles have also become up-to-date. With an increased number of high-rises, quality meant for security of dwellers plays an important role. To ensure a good and safe living style to provide the dwellers, the Committee for Quality Control of High-Rise Building Construction Projects, CQHP, is working to define guidelines regarding the design of high-rise buildings and quality control. Uewe, Joint Secretary of Committee for Quality Control of High-Rise Building Construction Projects, CQHP, said,
Our committee is to grant permission for the construction of high-rises with 12-story and above in Yangon. According to the official procedures, Firstly, a proposal is to be submitted to Yangon City Development Committee, YCDC. We have formed a team comprising BE and ME graduates as well as PhD holders. We have also an inspection team to scrutinize design calculation. Moreover, our inspection team has to go on an inspection tour to the construction sites at the time of the construction of the building after granting permission. If our permission is already passed, the YCDC will release BCC, that is permission for people to stay.
The committee is working with departmental officials at the director ranking and local and foreign experts. It was initially formed in 2003, but it was reformed in August in 2019. The committee has to carry out inspections of the high-rise with 12-story and above that are being constructed in respective urban areas, including Yangon, and then has to pass permissions. Foreign experts have to submit an application back to Myanmar Engineering Council. After scrutiny, they are permitted to work together with Myanmar engineers. Some regions are frequently encountering natural disasters like the earthquake. The world earthquake line, known as Alpine Fault, passes through Myanmar. Supervisions have to be administered in order to construct a building in a systematic manner. Do Tin Tin Khai, assistant lecturer of University of Technology, Yangon, said.
Now the technological universities are focusing on research. Our university has foundations assisting helps. These foundations render assistance for those who are going to carry out researches. We can ask the foundations for financial assistance to spend on the project and the research. For that reason, research works have enormously increased in our country. Now research works have seen much more progress compared to the past. Regarding the expenditures, financial assistance can be submitted. Accordingly, I would like to tell research works have developed a lot.
The contractors are now paying special attention to quality in the construction of tall buildings. The buyers also come in to choose good sites with fresh earth available. Y.R.O, staff officer, Department of Urban and Housing Department, said.
Yarana Nancy housing is in the sale of more than 700 apartments and only more than 200 apartments have been let for sale. Our installment plan has 3 ways to sell apartments. Most of the buyers prefer installment plan, especially 3 feathers, fresh air, sufficient lights, and good rest.
Uni Mindu, Managing Director, Myanmar House Stockholm, said.
Current
condominiums have different facility. Which facility provide what things? Does the condo have lifts or sufficient car parking or swimming pool or gym? These are taken into consideration before buying the condo apartment. Some buy condo apartments regardless price, but they consider facility, especially quality.
And that's all we have for today's reports, and it's time to check on some international news here on Myanmar Today. Russia is again accusing the United States of running a clandestine biological weapons lab in Georgia. Moscow says Washington is flouting international conventions and posing a direct threat to Russia. During a press conference in Beijing, a question was raised on the claim to China's foreign ministry.
The United States has established a number of biological laboratories in former Soviet countries, but it has kept silent on their functional uses. This has caused great concern to people living there and to neighboring countries. We understand that local people strongly urge the closure of these laboratories. We hope the United States will face up to the concerns of the international community and the safety of the local people in a responsible manner, and take practical measures to dispel the suspicions of the international community.
clinical trials have started for China's fourth COVID-19 vaccine, developed by the National Vaccine and Serum Institute under the China National Biotech Group, CNBG. Since the outbreak, CNBG has allocated 1 billion yuan, which is about 141.29 million US dollars for vaccine development.
我们这个车间呢，实际上，从选址到落成，78天，那真正建设呢是60天左右，可以说是国内人用第一个高级别生物安全防护的一个车间。
平常呢，一个疫苗的研发需要好几年，我们呢24小时几班来倒，缩短了时间，也显示了我们的中国力量和中国速度。
Chinese President Xi Jinping recently signed 2 presidential orders. One is a law on prevention and control of environmental pollution by solid waste, which will take effect on September 1st. The other is on the appointment of the Tang Yizhuang as the new Minister for Justice and Wang Yongjie as the new Minister of Ecology and Environment. Both decisions were approved by the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, which just concluded its session. Russia has extended its nationwide lockdown until May 11th to contain the spread of the COVID-19. In a televised speech, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the risk of infection is at the highest level. He also warned citizens to remain vigilant. The lockdown has already taken a toll on Russia's economy. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I am Agajo. Have a great day, everyone. Stay home, stay safe, practice good personal hygiene, and follow instructions strictly, and always be on high alert for important news. I'll see you again. Goodbye.